Do you want to? Well, I'll bump this question to you. So the question BWS in the chat room says, "Can you ask why my pain has turned into anxiety?" And shall we bump that to the next session? We've got another one planned 6 weeks from now, right?
Sure. Yeah, we can play with that. We can talk about it now. I have a few more minutes if
okay,
you
sure.
You wanted to patch them through.
Okay, Brandon, I think you're. Can you hear me now? Say something, please.
Hi.
Hi. You were just asking that question about anxiety. I'm afraid that I may have distracted you a little bit, but so Alan was talking about the symptom imperative. Do you want to ask him a follow-up question?
Yeah, about 2 years ago, I got into a car accident, and I had anxiety all my life ever since college. And about 2 years ago, I was on the way to see my brand new child, who was 1 day old, and I got into an accident and had back pain for 2 years.
Oh my God!
Now that I read Dr. Sarno's book, it's turned back into anxiety. But my pain is gone, but now I have like tremendous anxiety.
And you had anxiety before?
Yeah, during finals week, my senior year in college.
So, I mean, did you have anxiety perpetually until the car accident?
No, it was on and off. So, like every few years or so, I would have bad anxiety for a couple months, and then it would go away.
So, yeah, did you have anxiety during the 2 years that you had pain, or did you have no need for it?
No.
Yeah, I mean, in that situation, they're just the same. You had anxiety, and then you got in a car accident, and all of a sudden, your back was hurting, and it was this preoccupation, and your body didn't need the anxiety anymore because the back pain was serving the same purpose. And then, and oftentimes people get in car accidents, and maybe there can even be an acute injury, but when the injury stays, when it sticks, oftentimes it's TMS just piggybacking on the original injury. So then, either the anxiety came back or the back pain went away, but you needed another preoccupation, and so now you have the anxiety again. And much like Dustin or Alex, I imagine that the same things are going on that give you a need for these symptoms.
Yeah, I also, my back pain has gone away, but, it's moved around to my neck sometimes too. And it's not pain, it's just kind of like uncomfortable, feels tight. So it's in my neck a little too, and now I'm, I've read all Dr. Sarno's books, and the reason I found you guys is because I'm researching for more. I want to know, everything I can about this, and that's why I'm in this chat room today.
Well, how is the anxiety affecting your life?
Well, I think I'm a teacher, so I have the summer off, so sitting around all day probably doesn't do it much good either, because when I find that I'm busy, my anxiety is non-existent.
Wow. So it seems like when you're preoccupied with it's amazing, isn't it, that I've talked to people where they had excruciating back pain, but they were at a basketball game or a concert or something where they were really into, and they didn't feel the pain the whole time because they were otherwise occupied. So it sounds like, is it Brandon?
Yeah.
It sounds like, Brandon, that for you, the anxiety is this real preoccupation. When you're around other people or you're engaged in some activity, you're in it. But as soon as you get alone and you're by yourself, it's like your mind starts abusing you.
Right.
Well, what happens? I mean, instead of, you look at like the Buddhist monk where they go and meditate for 4 hours, and being with themselves is kind of like a joy. What happens to you when you're by yourself? What does your mind start doing to you?
Well, I start, and I've kind of been obsessive about this, and I was watching, I think the host of this, I've been watching some of his stuff on YouTube, and someone asked him somewhere, like, can you obsess too much about this? And I've been really obsessing about it, and my back pain went away, and then I I had shoulder surgery. Has nothing to do with TMS. I got into a bicycle accident. A car actually hit me, and I tore some stuff in my shoulder. So I was planning on having a real active summer. You know, I ride my bike. I'm a football coach. I'm a teacher. I'm trying to keep myself busy. But I had this surgery, and you can't really do anything for 4 weeks. So I've just kind of been chilling out, which has been my own worst. And it's been like the demons, you know. My back pain went away, and then my neck started hurting a little, so now I started thinking there's something wrong with my neck.
You know what I'm noticing is it seems like you always need to be preoccupied with something. You were preoccupied with back pain and then anxiety and then neck pain, and now you're even obsessed with trying to find a solution to all of this. What happens when you just have stillness? You don't know because it's something that you've never. Yeah.
And you know another thing, like, you know, I was taking all kinds of medicines. You know, I used to get headaches, and I thought it was allergies. So, you know, I was taking a steroidal nose spray. I was taking anti-inflammatories for pain and all this stuff. And, you know, I've gone off of all those now, and exactly the same person. You know, I realized that it wasn't any of that.
Yeah, it's all the same.
Yeah, that's the one saving grace, is that even though I'm not taking any of those medicines anymore, I still am without pain.
Yeah.
You know, it's just anxiety. I'm just trying to deal with the anxiety.
All of these symptoms that you have the same purpose of keeping you roped in, keeping you hooked. And you wake up and you're thinking about it, and you're like, when's it going to come, and what can I do about it? And it's almost like a full-time job, worrying about, thinking about, monitoring, and checking in on all of these symptoms.
Right.
And
you know, like I played basketball before my surgery. I've been playing the Wii a little bit. That was something.
Hey, Brandon, could we get you to call back in over the phone also?
Yeah. What is the? Can you not hear me?
Yeah, you're cutting in and out. I think it's a Skype thing.
Is that better?
It's a lot better, yeah. So you're a football coach.
Yep.
You played football. You played basketball.
Yeah. Oh, and I just ran the other day. And, you know, you were saying that, you know, I'm constantly worrying about it. Well, you know, for the next 2 days after running on the treadmill, you know, first thing in the morning when I woke up, I was like, oh, man, is it going to hurt?
You terrify yourself. You scare the hell out of yourself.
Yeah.
Is this something that is you've been doing for a long time?
No, not really. I mean,
I'm wondering what it is that makes it so painful to just be around yourself and not have an activity to keep your mind on something.
Yeah, I don't know. You know, and the back pain started when I had, you know, like I said, I had a new baby, and you know, with Dr. Sarno with all his books, you know, he said that, you know, that's one of the top ones of new stresses in your life that can kind of drive you nuts.
Well, that's true, but you had a lot of anxiety even before that.
Before that, yeah.
I'm assuming that there was some way of relating with yourself that your mind is rebelling against.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't drink, I don't smoke, I don't do drugs, I don't do any of that stuff. I just, when I'm not busy or not able to exercise, I kind of go bananas. So maybe
do you put a lot of pressure on yourself?
Oh, of course.
Of course.
Yeah, I mean, you know, and everything I do, like, you know, the perfectionism and the, you know, if someone doesn't do something that I ask them to do, I do it. You know, it's just kind of put it all on me.
You know, we're talking about ways that you can be relating to yourself that bring this up, and you talk about being perfectionistic, putting a ton of pressure on yourself, like it's a normal way to be treated. How old is your kid now? 2?
I have three.
You
I
have
have three
kids.
Yeah, 14, 4, and 2.
All right. And
2 years back pain.
Do you put a ton of pressure on them? Like you need to get all A's or else?
No, but it's definitely it's definitely a lot of you got to do it my way, or I'm going to be upset.
I see.
You know, even with the little ones.
Yeah. So it seems like the way that you treat yourself is like you're a drill sergeant.
Right.
It even spills over to your kids.
And the crazy thing is, when I'm teaching, as a teacher, I'm very, very patient and lenient, and I'm not that way with my students. Yeah.
So you have the capacity to act patiently and lovingly and with more care and compassion.
Mhm.
But you don't use that when you're dealing with your own self.
Yeah, and I just want to, I guess what I'm searching for is, a way, someone to give an example of a way that they got rid of all this, so that it can be the same, can be my way to get rid of all this. You know what I mean? Like,
you're looking for intellectual techniques. You're looking for ways to eliminate the pain and get back to the way things were. Your body doesn't want to get back to the way things were. Your body does not like being treated like a drill sergeant. I mean, no wonder it's so difficult being by yourself without having an activity. When you're having an activity, you can at least be in the moment, and the drill sergeant in your head backs off a little bit.
Yeah.
But as soon as you're by yourself, boom, you're in the Army, you're in the Marines, you're exposed to this drill sergeant in your head that's telling you more, better. And it's not about getting rid of these symptoms. It's about listening to the symptoms and learning to relate to yourself in a different way. I mean, you're talking about treating yourself like a drill sergeant, like it's okay. It sounded like you took so much pride when you said, when I talk to my students, I'm compassionate and I'm patient and I'm caring with them, and it seems like you're capable of that.
Mm-hmm.
Do you not feel like you deserve to be treated that way?
I don't know, and this has really caused me to go back and think about lots of things in my life, and a lot of this, I heard a lot of stories stemming from like childhood stuff. My parents were very compassionate, great, wonderful parents. I can't see anything in my childhood that would make me feel this way. So I'm just like, I don't know. I don't know where this came from. But I definitely, and even in school or college, I didn't have to get straight A's. I didn't have to be the best at everything. I just had to be good.
Well,
you know what I mean? So I wasn't even a perfectionist.
I think if we have more time, we could look into what happened when you were young to, I don't know, or somewhere along the lifespan to trigger treating yourself like this. But just for right now, I think that the most important thing is, like, do you care that you treat yourself like this? I think what you're saying is, I want all these symptoms to go away so I could just go on, live my life, and be awful to myself. I think that the first thing is to just look in the mirror, metaphorically, or, actually, and ask yourself, do I deserve to be treated with such relentlessness? Do I deserve to be treated in this way where I'm not this nurturing, loving caretaker to myself, but I'm, this pressure monger, where I scare myself, where I tell myself you have to do this or else. It's a hard way to live, Brandon.
Yeah, and one thing that's been bothering me, with getting the surgery and stuff during the summer is I feel guilty that, I haven't done that as much during the summer with my family. I didn't go on.
God, look at this. It's like, even post-surgery, you're sitting there beating yourself up, tearing yourself down, telling yourself you're not doing enough.
mean.
That's the biggest part of my thought process when I'm by myself this summer.
I mean, does that strike you as a cruel way of treating yourself?
Well,
I'm
now that we're
thinking, yeah, this poor guy got shoulder surgery. He's in pain. He's shrouded in anxiety, and he's recovering. And you're sitting there and taking that same information and saying, "Yeah, you lazy asshole, get with it."
right.
I mean, man, no wonder you have this much anxiety. I mean, anyone would, being subjected to that kind of treatment.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, there are times when I'm sitting there and I'm saying, why am I constantly thinking these things? Why can't I just have a summer where I chill out? You know, why do I have to be worried about everybody else?
Do you ask yourself that, like, compassionately or, like, step to it?
Right. It's probably more
just
like,
another,
hey, idiot, right.
Yeah, just another thing that you're doing wrong. It's mean.
Right, right.
You know, I again, these symptoms, they're not your enemy. They're not something to be stamped out or eliminated. I know it can feel like that sometimes because they're so painful to live with, but a lot of times they're trying to steer you. It's like a seeing eye dog. You know, it's like there's a therapist in LA who talks about it, a phrase that I love. It's like a lighthouse in the night. It's shining a light on something that you can't see. And I'm sitting here talking to you, and man, I mean, you're a football coach. I played football in high school. Like, it's, you know, like practices suck. The coaches are just pushing you and run and faster, and I don't care if you're tired, and it's no way to treat yourself.
Right. That's,
you know,
it's
in
almost
real
like
life.
I'm coaching myself. Right.
Yeah. You don't need a coach, Brandon. You need someone to take care of you.
Yeah.
You need someone to treat you like a human being. I mean, you said that your mom was really like, or your parents were really compassionate and loving. Do you remember when you were young and you would like fell down or scraped your knee or you were really upset about something, what it was like for your mom to just like take care of you and nurture you?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
How did that feel?
Great.
Why would you rob yourself of that from, you know, if you didn't know how to be compassionate, if you didn't know how to be nurturing, you know, the first step would be to teach you. But you already know how. It sounds like you're like this very cool, laid-back, nurturing teacher. You're just withholding it from yourself.
Yeah, I'm giving it to everybody but myself.
You're giving it to everyone but yourself. I mean, you know, I think the first step is to actually care that you're being treated like that. Mm-hmm. Not like, oh, I need to change that because that's not right. But to actually plug in with the emotion of being treated so cruelly. You know, a lot of times, you know, in therapy and TMS, we talk a lot about going back to your childhood and finding out the reason for all of this. But sometimes a big part of it is just opening your eyes to the fact that, wow, I treat myself in this really mean way, and I don't have to. And a lot of times it's just a decision and just a recognition of how you're being treated and how great it feels to be treated nicely. And I'm talking to you right now, and it's like 10 minutes ago you were like, yeah, I treat myself like a piece of shit. And now it sounds like you're recognizing it more and saying, like, wait a minute, that's not cool.
Right.
I'm telling you, you know, with your symptoms, I think that what you need more than anything is to really look at yourself with, like, open, nurturing, caring eyes. I don't know where along the lines you felt like you don't deserve that kind of treatment, but to look at yourself. And I've had clients do this before. It sounds kind of cheesy, but like if you look in the mirror and look in your eyes, like our eyes don't change. You have the same eyes that you had when you were 3, 4, 5 years old. And just look at yourself and see your own humanity and just ask yourself, do you deserve to be treated like, you know, your life is a football practice?
Mm-hmm.
Or do you deserve to be treated like you're a human being and you have needs and you have suffering and, you know, be treated nicely?
Mm-hmm.
I think your symptoms are trying to let you know, treat us nicely, Brandon. Don't be so mean to us.
Right.
What's going on right now with your anxiety or pain? Is there any there?
Nope.
Yeah. I think that when you open yourself up to feel compassion for yourself, to feel feelings for yourself, you don't need any of these symptoms. You're whole.
Yeah. It
Does that
definitely
make
drives
sense?
me nuts. Yeah. It
Yeah.
drives me
And
nuts.
you remember, you're like, wow, this makes a lot of sense, of course. And I
Right.
promise you, a week from now, you will have forgotten. But just remember again. You know, we need to learn things over and over. You teach. You know, it's like we need to learn the state capitals like at the beginning of 3rd grade and 5th grade and 7th grade because we keep
Right.
forgetting. It's the same thing. You'll forget and just remind yourself, wait a minute, I'm treating myself cruelly. I could be nice to myself. Then you'll forget. And, you know, the more you learn that and tell yourself that and practice it, that could become your default setting. And, you know, not only could you live symptom-free, but you can live without this tyrant in your head
Right.
constantly tearing you apart.
Right.
Cool. You feel like you have direction?
Yes. Thank you so much. And I know you went longer than you were supposed to, but thank you
That's
so much.
okay. No, it's my pleasure.
All right. Talk to you.